Okay, so hi everyone and welcome to the Coaching Corner. I'm Sarah Makinde and I'm here with Nikki Hall today. Thank you for tuning in, everyone. I love this podcast because it gives us an opportunity to talk to people who are either at the beginning of their coaching journey or actually have had a career change or wherever it is, we get an opportunity to talk to people about what it is that they've experienced, how they've overcome some of the different challenges, and where also there might be opportunities for you to learn from that and implement it in your coaching business as well. So, Nikki, I have got an introduction here, and the words that keep on coming to me are still like nature infused. So, nature inspired work-life balance and personal development coach. And Nikki's business is called Coaching with Nikki Hall. So, Nikki, tell us a bit about yourself. Like, what's your business about? How did you come to coaching?
Okay, so I suppose, well, thank you. Thank you for inviting me. This is very exciting. And I put a lot of deep thought into how the easiest way is to get this across. But I suppose what got me into coaching in the first instance is I've always coached informally without knowing it. The experiences of growing up with the roller coaster of life that happens and all the experiences that are thrown at you or you embrace or you just jump into. Um, I just took that coaching approach. I always listened. I always thought. I always embraced whatever the situation was and tried to help those people come to me with initially family and friends, and then in my NHS career. Um, NHS profession is quite prescriptive. There are rules, regulations, protocols, and yes, in situations they have to be abided by. But to get the best out of people, whether it was patients or staff or whoever you encounter, taking that coach-like approach always empowered them more to understand their health or their role or their job. So I think I've always been a coach, informally and formally. And then during my career in the NHS as a senior nurse, I was given the opportunity to train formally as a coach. So I did, grabbed it, ran with it. Absolutely fantastic. And it made me realize, yeah, this is brilliant. This is the way to lead, not manage, lead. The way to lead people is through coaching, because it helps them think for themselves. Um, and then I've always walked in nature. So I thought, oh, well, how can I infuse that into my coaching? My grandmother always taught me going for a walk will clear your head. So clear my head, I did. If it clears my head, it clears others. And COVID came along and made that a really strong part of who I am and family. When we were allowed to go out, when the government said yes, I would promote walking. Obviously, you're not allowed to go near people, but why not go walking somewhere that's open? It cleared my head. It was amazing. It was inspirational. It helped me through COVID. So I integrated that into my everyday work in the NHS and then as a coach practitioner. Um, so yeah, I think without nature and without my NHS experience and always deep in my heart being a coach, I I, I think that's me. That's how I got to where I am, among many other things along the journey.
Love that. And one of the things that you mentioned before we started the podcast recording was about like creating these walking groups. Like a lot of what you talk about is around like the chronic illness and supporting people with that. Just tell us a bit more about your journey with chronic illness and also how you support others through the charity work that you do.
Yeah, that's really important, I feel. I was born with a condition called Ehlers-Danlos syndrome, hypermobility, um, and it leaves you with some challenges. Every day is different, like most people with a chronic illness. I didn't realize that's what I had, when I was born many years ago. I always thought I was just super bendy. I had a few issues I had to deal with physically. then I got diagnosed and I thought, okay, how do I embrace this? How do I be the best version of me? Did lots of talking to myself, lots of coaching, brought lots of nature into my life. And I thought, well, this is the best way forward without going down those lines of lots of treatment from GPs or physios, which are valuable. Um, how can I help myself? This is my body. Cut a long story short, it worked really well. So I thought, well, how can I help other people? And there's a big void. There's a void of support, which is not NHS based. How can I help my strategies to get others or empower others to look after their own life, their own health? So we set up an amazing group called Sofa to Stroll. There's two of us co-leading this, and we do it once a month at the minute. We want to expand it and roll it out. And we invite people from all walks of life locally. We're on the triangle here of Leicestershire, Nottinghamshire, and Derbyshire. Come along, get off the sofa and have a stroll. They tend to all have chronic illnesses that they want to understand, share, air, have a chat, not feel alone, not be stuck on that sofa. So we both have a chat with them. We look into how we can help inspire them, how we can bring those walks into the life, how they can bring some relatives along. Just getting up and having a little walk. We do some mindfulness. We look around us, we open our eyes, and we just have a general conversation to let them know they're not alone and maybe share some tips and tricks.
Nice, nice. And some of the questions, I love how you combine nature with the coaching and like thinking about like how it translates so well in terms of like what you see outside, like the trees, the branches, how that can then almost be a metaphor for life and what's happening with that person and how we kind of experience the wind that blows us all these different ways. A metaphor that really resonates with me is the mountain metaphor, and I just love any mindfulness that brings the mountain in it, like the mountain that is still, that's calm, whilst everything else is going on around them. Like, how do you bring the metaphor of nature into your coaching and some of the coaching questions?
Yeah, that's really interesting. It's really good to have some visualization that you can part of your resources, part of your armory. So, well, I see nature, it's a cycle. It's very seasonal. And actually, it's quite funny. I was doing a little bit of research the other day, and it actually fits quite well into Kolb's experiential learning
It
cycle.
does, yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, obviously, nature is quite fixed, although, yeah, you could say it's changing. But for example, spring, it's the season of curiosity and explanation. You know, plants are all bursting into life. So we're waking up, growth's beginning. You can map that quite nicely onto, concrete experience, for example. So I'll take clients for a walk or some of my people that attend the chronic illness group, and I'll get them to think about what are they being exposed to now? What perspectives are they seeing? I might ask a question like, look around. What are you experiencing? What's beginning to sprout? Using the word sprout, because that's what nature does in your life right now. And that quite often leads to different conversations because they're thinking more about what's going on. And I'll ask them things like, what are you actively working on to help grow your knowledge and resources that will empower you either in your work-life balance or understanding your health. So it's quite powerful. And I'll sit there, well, we've had a little stroll, which is really good, or we're sat with a client in a cafe if it's inclement weather. You can still find a space. It doesn't have to necessarily be going for a walk, but it does work better. So if it's a client and it's bad weather, we'll find a nice cafe. It might be raining, but people like rain. It's quite cathartic. I'll get them to focus on a tree and I'll ask them to, what does that tree represent to you? What does that tree look like? And quite often, oh, it's big, it's strong, it's beautiful, it's perfect. So I say, okay, is it? Um, Take a closer look. Okay. What else can you see? Well, actually, the branches are quite fragmented. They go off in different directions, a bit like your life goes off in different directions. What about the trunk? The trunk's trunk and the branches. So we have a conversation about that tree. And I'll ask, what's supporting? What lessons are you learning from that tree? What are you gathering? What information can you think about? Well, it's a strong trunk, but the branches are quite fragile. Okay, and where's the resources coming from that tree? Well, it goes down to the bottom of the trunk, into the roots, into the mycelium, into the whole wood wide web, whatever you want to call it, supporting each other. And well, we won't go there anyway, but it helps that whole conversation of resources. And
Yeah.
then I might bring something like this, the circle of concern and influence, and what resources they've got. So then we'll do some more coaching side of the work, and they will investigate what is within their control, what can they influence, what isn't. So, you can bring different areas of nature into coaching tools. Or we might use the meta model where we'll actually really break down, and get the gritty detail of how things are in their life, on their work-life balance.
Yeah, I love that. And I know that you studied NLP, and obviously, like talking about the meta model just makes me think about some of the NLP kind of techniques. The perceptual position, it's really at the front of my mind, thinking like as a coach, I haven't got a chronic illness. So how could I understand the perspective of someone who I might be coaching who has got a chronic illness? So imagine that I see you as being able to see it from all angles. So perceptual positions, there are three positions. So one, you as a coach. So you as a coach with all your coaching skills that you've got, the questions that you've got. Then the other position is the person who is on the receiving end of coaching, like the person with the chronic illness. Like, as the fly on the wall, if you like, as Nikki looking in at these two different people, a coach who maybe hasn't got a chronic illness, their client that's got a chronic illness. Like, what would your advice be to a coach who hasn't necessarily like walked in that other person's shoes before? They might not know what it's like, the impact, the struggle, all of the things that you've mentioned. How can you still show up as the best coach for that person?
Well, it's not about the coach, is it?
So,
It's about the person.
yeah.
As the coach, you're not there to provide all the answers. So it would be facilitating questions that will help them come up with the answers. For the coach to understand the chronic illness, it's like any other coaching process. You want to find out about that person, regardless of what's going on. It's their life, it's their map of the world. So to help them understand more deeply about them and their path. So
Mm.
it will be using, for example, a lot of stillness. It will be listening to them. It will be helping them reflect on how they do or don't or can or can't um, progress themselves within their capabilities and their limitations. So, I mean, chronic illness is a factor, but actually we've all got something within us. We're all different. We've all got our own map of the world. We've all got our own demons and angels and everything to deal with. So it's not just about the chronic illness, it's about the whole holistic person as themselves.
Absolutely. And that's interesting because it actually reminds me of a reflection of some of the training that I've done recently with managers, and some of their staff would say that they're neurodiverse, and the manager will want to kind of fix it and offer all of these solutions and all of these things. I just say, just speak to the person and find out what it is that they need. They live with whatever it is every day and how it's impacting them, how it brings challenges, but also opportunities, all of these different things. And you're never going to have like a one size fits all in terms of the best questions or the best things to ask. It is about that person and their needs. And I believe as well as a coach, we believe that an NLP practitioner as well, that people have the resources that they need. People have those answers within them. It's about facilitating that conversation to bring them out.
It is, and that is it. It's that conversation and it's listening. And with my chronic illness, it affects every cell in my body, every part of my tissues. And it does come with a multitude of other things. It comes with neurodiversity. And although I mean, I think sometimes that is quite inspiring to my clients, my coachees, the people I work with, the volunteers, the voluntary work that I do, because they think as you talk, I don't always offer my world, but if they ask and they want to know to be inspired, then I will tell them things that I feel might help them. So, people see me as this successful senior nurse, this leader, this coach, this confident, grounded person. I'm like that swan. Yeah, I'm graceful on top, but I'm paddling away like mad underneath. Because with my condition, I get neurodiversity, but I hid
Yeah.
that away for many years. I'm dyslexic. I didn't know for many, many years what it was. I just thought, oh, that doesn't quite sound right, or that doesn't look right, or I'm saying that backwards. A lot of us do that anyway when we're tired. But you embrace it, and I used it as a driver and went through various universities without any support or help or diagnosis until my very last university course, and they said, "I think you might be dyslexic." Oh, yeah, okay. Little things like that that I might share with people, and they think, well, if she can do it, I can do it. And then we look at their strategies. How can they build up their resources, their strategies, their armors, their tools? And some of that is through NLP techniques, some of that is through just listening, learning, discovering their own strengths, their own values. And that's quite important, actually. Quite a lot of my clients and the voluntary people I see, they don't understand their own inner strengths, their own resources, their own capabilities. And that to me is the best part of coaching, helping them discover their values, their strengths, different perspectives, different things that are going on. And we've mentioned map of the world. That was one of the biggest things I learned from NLP. Everybody's world is different.
Mhm.
And the perceptual positioning. Try and sit out there like that fly or that butterfly. You're a fly, I'm a butterfly. Flapping up there, trying to see other people's perspectives.
Yeah.
That's helped me massively. And if that
Absolutely.
can help me, that can help others.
Yeah, absolutely. I love all of that. And you've mentioned like about the people that you help. Like, who is it that you help? You mentioned before about kind of work-life balance, people struggling with that personal development. Do you specifically work with people in a corporate environment? And I say it like that because you say corporate, people have this idea of what corporate is. And it's not necessarily that dependent on your experience, but who is it that you help? What kind of backgrounds have they got?
So, if I put the voluntary work to one side, the clients that I tend to see the most are women. So, I like to empower women 30 plus. I wouldn't exclude men, not a problem at all. But I suppose when I'm walking in nature with them, I try and think of safety, um, other factors. But because I can use my own lived experiences of being a woman that has struggled with a variety of things, personal and professionally, I feel that's where I can help the most. So it tends to be women 30 plus, achieving harmony in their work-life balance and some professional growth. So I very much look at trying to help them understand why they're overwhelmed, why they are feeling burnt out, why are they constantly juggling things without feeling that they're moving forward, why do they have this constant self-doubt? And yeah, I could tell them what I've done and what I think, but that's not what coaching is. So
Yeah.
it's helping them to become unstuck, to move forward, to develop, to grow, and empower themselves with their strengths and their values to move forward.
I love that. And there's a positive psychologist who's also strengths trained. I am so passionate. And also, you mentioned about lived experience. Like, I spent 20 something years of my life, probably more than that, 30 years, feeling like I always needed to be like someone else to be successful. And it wasn't until I found out like who I actually am, what energizes me, all of those different things, that everything changed for me. So I love the fact that you combine the strengths work with the coaching. So for anyone that wants to contact Nikki, what we're going to do is put the links on the description of this podcast as per usual. And yeah, please do reach out to her for anything that you've heard about today that really resonates with you. And just to say thank you, Nikki, for coming on the podcast. It's been really interesting talking with you.
Oh, thank you so much, Sarah. It's been really interesting my end as well. It's just, I've just got so much, the synapses are buzzing at the minute. There's just so much in my mind. And do you know what? Just love helping people,
Lovely.
helping them help themselves. Full stop.
Amazing. Full stop. Thank you, everyone, for listening. And yeah, do reach out. And if you're not part of the Coaching Corner already, I would recommend that you join our Facebook group. There's lots of interesting things going on, lots of connections happening, and relationships forming. So thank you, everyone. Take care.